All right, welcome everyone. First of all, deep breath. We're on these weekly calls to move you forward in some way with your messaging, your marketing. And I explain this every week, but I'm sure you all know how important your messaging, your marketing, your outreach strategies are to your business. Yes? We all know the importance. So, my question I would have for people is how often do you have uh, a scheduled time in your calendar each week to work on your messaging? And many people are like, what the hell are you talking about? um, and it's just, it kind of blew my mind that I was really the only one who had like dedicated time in my calendar to work on the things that mean so much. To sit down there with a pen and paper and brainstorm different hooks, different ways of explaining a problem, different ways of explaining an outcome, and testing that, testing it with the serving circle, with my copy, with my content. And then when I got on some calls with people and we actually had some breakthroughs with their messaging and they started having people saying yes to their stuff, I'm like, why are we not working on this? Why are people not actively working on this as a business habit? That's why I started these calls, because you get to schedule this every week and you get to come in here and you'll have some key takeaways, some tangible takeaways, I call them, some action items, and some real breakthroughs when it comes to your messaging and marketing. So you can have more of the right people say yes to your stuff, right? More of the right people invited into whatever container, whatever free or paid container you're looking to put together, right? And you're looking to add value to people. And so I decided, hey, let's just do these calls and we'll have some insights on here. And so I'm relying on your feedback, your engagement, your attendance for just to really see if you're getting the real key value from this. And if you are, great. That's what we're all here for. So my first piece of agenda, I'm going to go through just a little bit of a recap what we've done the last few weeks, and then we'll dive into some new stuff. But who was here? Show of hands. Who was here last week with Ken? Show of hands. A few people. Yeah, we had Ken, who was our guest speaker last week. Amazing, great call. If you weren't there, please tune into the podcast or the YouTube channel and watch that. Really good insights, really key insights. Especially in terms of how to explain what you do without overwhelming people. That's going to be that was, I got a lot of feedback from that, and I got a lot of people messaging me saying that was a really good little bit of a masterclass for you all. But what I'll do is I'll share my screen and I'll go over a little bit of a recap of what we've done so far in the past 4 weeks. And I want you to really think about what are the areas you need to work on. What are the areas that are lacking for you specifically? Because we might be able to have some specific breakthroughs for you on this call. I'm looking for some engagement. I'll share my screen. All right, you can all see this, yes? All right, thumbs up from Tracy. That is a good sign. So, Marketing Mastermind calls, here we are. So, we went over how to explain and find a priority problem. So, you want to be able to position yourself in front of your audience where you're solving priority problems for them. These are problems that are top of mind for people. They're investable, they're measurable, and preferably something you can create an easy, quick win for, because I like to help people create quick win campaigns. That's really working for people who are engaging leads. And this is the criteria I walk people through to make sure you're highlighting a priority problem instead of a problem that's broad, nebulous, intangible, doesn't really attract many people. So we went over this in week one. In order to hone in on a starving market, in order to hone in on a priority problem, we highlighted the meta niches. because the main areas in which people tend to invest to solve problems and achieve outcomes are these: love and relationships, health and fitness. We've got finance and wealth creation, business and career. These typically tend to be the areas when people have problems. It offers the most amount of pain, but also the most amount of pleasure when they achieve something, when they have this in their life. That's why it makes it a really good place for us as business owners to market towards those things. Make sense? Outcomes. When you're highlighting an outcome, when you're explaining to people that you can solve problems to achieve something in particular, we want to make sure that that outcome that we're describing is visual. It's tangible and it's visual. What does that mean? It means when you explain the outcome, people can easily think about that in their mind. They can easily picture a snapshot of success in their mind. If I was to say to you, hey, I'm going to help you achieve, a connection with yourself, a deeper connection with yourself. Does an easy, specific, tangible outcome come to mind pretty easily? Do you visualize a snapshot of success? Probably not. Compared to, I'm going to help you speak on stage in front of 20 ideal clients. Or I'm going to help you connect with your partner so that when they're hugging you, you feel like you're the only person on the planet. Do you visualize something? If I say, hey, I'm going to help you, solve your back pain so you can actually play with your kids and hold your grandson above your head without any back pain, is that visual? Do you visualize holding your grandson up? Do you visualize your partner hugging you? Do you visualize yourself on stage? Yes, correct? And one way of thinking about this is to market the problems and the outcomes based on meaningful moments. What are the meaningful moments your ideal clients are going through? Both problems and the solutions or outcomes. One example I gave that many of you enjoyed is there's a difference between marketing. Like if you're creating content and you're a relationship coach and you're helping people create more connection, or you're helping them overcome lack of connection. Sure, that makes sense. But a meaningful moment is a specific snapshot in time. So for example, instead of lack of connection, you could have in your content, are you sick of the awkwardness across the dinner table knowing that there's going to be no words spoken, right? Or the embarrassment of going to different bedrooms at night because you're sleeping in different beds? They're meaningful moments, yes? It's needing to explain to the embarrassment of explaining to your kids why you're always arguing with your partner. That's a moment, yes? Not a blanket term. So we want to get good at highlighting meaningful moments for the problem and the outcome. Really important. So I also talked about personal messages. I also talked about building relationships. We want to be able to consistently and predictably build relationships. Now, let me open up the screen here so I can see your pretty faces. Show of hands. Show of hands. Who here has in their calendar scheduled time for their outreach? Show of hands. Few of you. 4, 5. Someone. All right, cool. Building relationships. This is the game. This is the game, is building relationships. Yes. If you don't have relationships built, if you don't have a warm audience, if you're not adding value to people, this game is going to be very challenging. But if you're consistently building relationships, if you're consistently sending personal messages, not to be overly spammy, not to be creepy, you're not finding out where people live and knocking on their window and saying, "Why aren't you following my stuff?" You're not being a weirdo. You're reaching out to people consistently because you're engaging in how you can best be of service to them. Right? You're learning more about them. and you're creating no-brainer offers. This to me, I reached out to many of you, yes, send you personal messages, and I'm like, hey, I'm running mastermind calls. It's all about marketing. Would you like to jump on? And you jumped on. This is me reaching out, adding value to you, yes? We want to be thinking, how could you do that for your audience? And it requires you to build relationships. Now, for me, I send about maybe 10, sometimes 12, sometimes 15 personal messages a day. That's not a lot of time for me because I have a warm audience. People are sometimes messaging me. But when I reach out to you all, my main questions are, how are you going in the surfing circle? Who can I connect you with? And what can I do to help you with the challenges you're currently facing? One of the answers is this, right? One of the answers is to the collaborative calls, so you can meet more people. Some of them is building resources like my ebook and uploading these recordings so people can access these sort of things. Yes. You want to consistently be of service to your audience, and you want to consistently learn how you can be best of service to them. That's done through communication and conversation. So have those conversations. You can reach out to people and ask them a question of what they're struggling with or what they're looking to achieve or how you can help or who you're looking to connect them with. You can reach out and you can invite them to something, right? Most of your invites will probably be free if this person's, relatively cold or relatively warm. So free events, free resources, podcast episodes, recordings on YouTube, PDFs, checklists, right? Masterclasses, recordings, these sort of things. Show of hands, who here has resources at their disposal they can send to people? Show of hands. Yeah, send them. Right? Send them to people. Enjoy doing it. I reach out. I said this last week. It was last week before. I reach out with the energy of random acts of kindness. We all love the energy of random acts of kindness. Yes. Who has ever, unless you're a psychopath, who here has ever done a random act of kindness and felt worse after it? Doesn't it lift up your soul and your spirit? Am I the only one? When you're doing your outreach, I want you to have that energy and that mindset of, I'm reaching out to these people and I'm going to be delivering value that surprises and delights them. Surprises and delights them, but they didn't know this value was coming. Right? Whether it's a one-on-one call to be of service, whether it's a resource, whether you're connecting them with someone, where they send you a message like, thank you, that's awesome. Like, you helped me a lot. So whenever you're stuck, whenever your mind's telling you you're stuck in business, reach out to 3 people, find 3 people to be of service to. Make sense? All right. So I want to move on to these healthy business habits. Now, I messaged my inner circle yesterday, and this is landing more and more for me as I understand it and implement it. And that is that your business goals and your business success will default down to your business habits. It's like your health. We all have habits for our health, correct? Whether you're eating potato chips and ice cream every night, or whether you're going for a walk every day, or whether you're brushing your teeth every day, whether you're staying hydrated, we all have habits. And isn't it true that your habits set up your success? Same with your relationships. Like, we all have habits within our relationships. With your significant other, how often do you say I love you? Do you hug them, spend time with them, yell at them, throw stuff at them? Hopefully not those, but we have habits, yes? And those habits lead to certain outcomes. Business is the same. Like, when you look at your calendar and you see your business habits, What does it look like? Is there scheduled time to work on what matters most? They are your habits. So this is what I found really matters most. Your outreach, cold or warm, creating content consistently, right? On some kind of regular occurrence, and also commenting on other people's if you love doing that in other people's groups and being of service in that way. Working on your messaging, working on your offers, right? Creating and finding no-brainer offers that make it easy for people to say yes. And obviously delivering for your clients, right? And increasing the volume. So the top four there really increase the volume of people who say yes to your stuff. But you really want to be improving your service and your delivery to other people. Now, if you have time in the calendar where you're working on this stuff consistently, would you say that's business habit? That's a business habit. If you're consistently doing your outreach, even if it's 3 to 5 people a day at a minimum, that's a habit, right? If you create content on a weekly basis and you can repurpose stuff, you can schedule things, but you have that in your calendar. For me, it's later today because I'm obviously going to have this recording. So I'm going to chop and change a few things. I'm going to do some editing. I'm also going to, create the email that goes out to you all on the recap. But that's later today for me. If you work on your messaging, this is what matters most, but people neglect the most as well, is your messaging. That's why you're here. But finding time to actually work on crafting clearer communication, really, really important. Offers. Some people just create a masterclass, some kind of container, but they don't really think about what is going to make this a real no-brainer. What's going to make this very irresistible? How do I add more value for less risk? You know what I mean? Like for those of you who are in my Quick Win Campaign Intensive, like I really thought about that, studied some business books, read Alex Hormozi's book, did all these different things. I'm really actively thinking what would make this a no-brainer. So I came up with, hey, you pay $1 at the start, you get to go through the whole thing, and you pay $97 at the end, only if you get a great result. But you do have to meet some milestones along the way to unlock that conditional guarantee, right? So you show up halfway, therefore you unlock the condition that you only pay if you get a great result. I had 42 people, whatever, say yes to that. And funny story, the first one I ran, I wanted to have 15 people, but the offer was great. The offer landed, so I had to open it up to 30. I think it was 32 joined the first one. But this is what matters most, working on your offers and then consistently improving your delivery so that you get better results for people. Does this make sense? Here's my first question for you. Type in the chat. Which one do you need to improve and or work on that you gut feel says, what do I need to either add to the calendar or work on more? Type 1, 2, 3, or 4. Maybe I'll allow you to type in 2 numbers because I'm very generous today. You can type in 2 numbers. Which ones do you know you need to work on most? Which ones do you know may be lacking? You're like, oh, look, I don't really work on my messaging. Oh, I don't really do some outreach. Hey, I haven't really been consistent with my content. What ones do you know you need to work on? Let me see what you're writing here. 3. So message and offer. So 3 and 4. 1 and 4. 1 and 3. 4. Offer. 5. 3 and 4. A lot of 3s and 4s. We're a bit all over the board here. 1 and 5. 3 and 4. Tracy's gone above and beyond, done 3 numbers. 1, 2, and 4. Adele said all of them. Cool. Yeah, it is true. all of them do matter, right? All of them do matter. But it is important to recognize which one, like work on all of them for sure, but understand which ones do you think you need to work on most. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of an exercise in a minute, and you're going to focus on these. So yes, you've written in two. I want you to just have in your mind, you don't need to type it, just which one is going to be most effective for you, which one's going to be best return on investment for your time if you were to work on it. I've got a few exercises in a minute. We can focus on those. Before we get there, I know you all are aware of this, but what matters most is not exactly what you understand, it's what you implement. Yes? And implementation comes down to your resourcefulness. It comes down to your ability to have the courage or the creativity or the passion or the patience to do something. Like I set up a new ad yesterday to target just to the people who have responded to my first ad. So those who have opted in to my ad, my first ad, which is 150 whatever people so far, I've got an ad that sends straight to those people. I thought it was going to take me probably maybe 30 minutes to have up and running, and it took me about 7 hours over the last couple of days. That's another story for another day. But it took some patience. it took some patience. It took some breathing. It took me asking Claude, why are you sending me down this rabbit hole when it doesn't work? You know? Anyway, very funny. We look back on it now and we can all have a laugh. But it did take some internal resourcefulness, of patience, right? Of persistence and overall vision that, hey, I want to be the version of me who can do this stuff. And isn't it true? You want to be the version of you who can add value and attract ideal clients and get your gift out into the world in big ways? Isn't that why we're here? Doesn't that feel good and exciting to everyone? Isn't that a pull on your soul to do this? If so, you're going to have to build some resourcefulness. You're going to have to recognize which internal resources you need to build. So my first check-in questions for you. You can type this in the chat if you want, or just keep it to yourself, or have a pen and paper. But what are your overall beliefs about business? What are your overall beliefs about what's possible? Once again, just a loose check-in. This isn't in-depth. You know, we're not going to write for the next 30 minutes around this question, but just have an overall awareness. What do you believe about business itself? What do you believe about money, about your clients, about marketing, about networking? What is there? Is there a general overall theme of your beliefs? Do you think it's hard? Do you think it's challenging? Do you think it's a waste of time? Do you think it's exciting? Do you think that it's endless possibilities? Do you think it's a vehicle for your growth? This is going to matter. Yes, we all do the inner work. We all know how important your energy is, your emotions, your beliefs. We all know how much they impact your results. Yes. So it's worth just having an overall check, just the general check-in. General check-in. What are my beliefs about business? And a general check-in, number two, what are the overall emotions you feel most often when you work on your business? Is it just in a general sense? When you're working on your business, you're doing your outreach, you're serving clients, you're working on your content, you're doing calls, you're networking, you're jumping on these calls. What is the overall theme of your emotions? What are you feeling most often? Are you feeling most frustration? Is there an angst? Is there a hurry or a busyness? Is there excitement? Is there a sense of accomplishment? Is there Are you proud of yourself? Do you feel connected and a sense of love with your community members? Probably worth noting. My green tea's gone cold. I've been talking too much. Life's hard sometimes. General check-in. So brainstorm for a minute or two. What emotional resources does your business need to achieve your goals? Have I written that right? What emotional resources does your business need to achieve the goals you have set? So we all have some general goals that we want to have set, whether it's to go full time in your business, to get a certain amount of clients, certain amount of revenue, certain amount of reach and impact. Let's type this one into the chat because this one's a fun one. What emotional resources in terms of examples are your passion, more patience, more curiosity, more playfulness, more love, more determination. What emotional resources? Let's choose just one. I want to test you here. Just choose one. What's one emotional resource you feel like your business needs to achieve your goals? One that you need to add. One you need to add more often is what I'm pointing towards here. What's one thing you need to embody more to achieve your goals? So resilience, belief, the belief that more is possible. Cool. Clarity, empathy, playfulness, and resilience. Belief. For me, it's a lot of playfulness as well. It's like a curiosity and playfulness. You know, when I'm going through these challenges of these ads, for example, I see it as an experiment that I'm playing with. I'm like, what's engaging for people? What's helpful for people? What's pulling people in? And it's like a big experiment that offers a lot of creativity for me. Consistent action, stamina, dedication, trust. Cool. Good to know. So, is it true that emotional state lives within you? And that state can be pulled out. You can elicit that state whenever you like. Right? See Kathy nodding her head. She understands. Like these are not emotional states that are determined by your external circumstances. Yes, external circumstances make it easier to feel a certain way, right? Make it easier. Like if I said, Adele, I have this bank transfer came through, and I just feel like sending it to you. It's 100 grand. What's your bank details? It's probably easier to feel excited in that moment than, hey Adele, I just hacked your bank account and I just took out 10 grand. Thanks for your service. You know, some circumstances make it easier, yes. However, it isn't the determining factor that determines your emotional resource that shows up in that moment, right? It is more to do with your focus, right? Your internal language, your focus of your meaning, what meaning you're giving the circumstance, and obviously your physiology. Anyone who studied Tony Robbins NLP knows your physiology is a big piece. To break this down, I use the acronym of AIM. So AIM, aim, because before you fire, you have to aim, yes? So before you do any activity, you have to aim. You have to check in and you have to follow, you have to check in of where's my attention? That's A. Where's my attention? Is it on what's right, what's wrong, what's going to go horribly, what's infinite possibilities, how I can be of service, what my hair looks like today? Where's your focus? I is for your internal internal language and meaning. So what's the internal sentences that are flowing through my mind? And then M is your movement. How do you move and use your body? Right before this call, I was listening to music and I was jumping up and down. Why? Because I felt a little bit tired this morning, but I realized, hey, I have to show up for you all. I have to have some kind of energy, right, to run this call, keep your attention, and make sure I'm being an example. So your movement and how you move and use your body, your gestures, your posture, your breath, right, your voice, all key factors of movement. So if you want to ask yourself the question, for me to elicit this emotional state that I've recognized I need to bring into my business more often, what would my attention, internal language and meaning, and movement be? Our emotional states are locked into these patterns. Before you do your outreach, I tell my clients, before you do your outreach, sometimes you have to jump up and down, right? Sometimes you have to listen to some music. Sometimes you have to get yourself going because your mind is going to be all over the place sometimes. Sometimes that's required. Sometimes before your masterclass, your Zoom call, your workshop, you have to bring some more energy. That's only going to come from a shift in your attention, internal language and meaning, and how you move and use your body. Make sense? Yes, the key question. The overall focus, the overall empowering belief is that you go through challenges because of who you get to become on the other side. You have chosen the challenge of business. You've chosen the challenge of putting yourself out there and marketing and doing your messaging and running business strategy and doing content and all these things and selling, for God's sake, from the overall belief that you get to become someone different on the other side. And isn't it true often when we give in, when we believe our disempowering beliefs, we often forget that we're going through something because of who we get to be on the other side, who we get to become by going through the challenges. Now, that isn't something that's new. The collective people hearing this and everyone on this call has probably heard this close to 20, 30 times. Yes? But isn't it true that we often forget in moments when we feel most disempowered is when we have forgotten this truth, that we're going through life and going through challenges because of who we get to become on the other side. Because isn't it true, what leads to fulfillment in life is not what we achieve, it's who we become. Right? When I wire transfer Adele the 100 grand, she's like, cool, easier to be, it's easier to be happy and excited in that moment. However, a part of her may think, yeah, but I didn't actually earn it. Right? I didn't actually become the version of me capable of achieving that. So which one's more fulfilling? You going through the challenges and becoming the version of you who can make that happen time and time again, or to just receive the outcome? Up to you. Moving on. So I have different exercises. So here's what I'll do. You have highlighted. We're going to do a bit of work. So pen and paper. So you have pen and paper. Once again, I have pen and paper. I'm running the thing. You should have pen and paper if you're looking to learn and looking to grow. All right. So you're going to have pen and paper, or you can type on whatever screen you have. You can do that as well. But we're going to do some exercise. We're going to make sure we have space here to do a bit of work and workshop a few things so you can actually leave with some takeaways. So I have some exercises here where you can choose just one exercise. I think I have 3 or 4. But the exercises here, I'm going to walk through them with you. And then you get to spend 5-10 minutes brainstorming, doing the exercise, asking me questions along the way. But I want to give you the space to actually do this. One of them's to do with your messaging. One of them's to do with your offers. One of them's to do with your outreach, these sort of things. So you have highlighted which ones matter most to you that you feel like is really going to create an improvement. So I'll walk through the different exercises, and then after that, you get to choose which one you want to do, and then we're going to do it. See? So let's go. So exercise number 1 to do with your messaging. All you're going to do is just simply brainstorm. I want you to put pen to paper or fingers to keyboard. And your messaging, as a reminder here, making the problems you solve and outcomes you help people achieve clearer and more compelling. So I want you to brainstorm, how can you make the problems that you solve more top of mind, more investable, more measurable? You can do that. You can simply just write down and brainstorm, what are the problems I say that I help people with? And just write them down, and then just think about writing down the problems that you can solve for people that are even more top of mind for them, more investable, more measurable, more tangible, and or the outcome. What outcomes do I say I help people achieve? And let me brainstorm the outcomes that may be more visual, that may be easier for people to visualize in their mind's eye. Specific outcomes. That's exercise number 1. So you have the option to do that. Or option number 2, exercise number 2, building relationships. You're actually going to send some personal messages. Show of hands. Who here typed outreach as something they know they need to do more often? Show of hands. Cool. Is everyone a little scared now? Now you need to actually do something? Yeah, I see ya. So your exercise can be, I get people to do this on my group calls. You actually get out your phone, scroll through your contacts list, and start sending messages to people. Even if it's just one, checking in, saying, hey, how you going? You haven't touched base in a while. What's new? That is an outreach. That is a conversation. That's getting something going. You can ask them a question and say, hey, I've seen you being in my group for a while. Are you enjoying it? How can I be of service to you in that group? What is it you would like help with? Or you can invite them to something that's coming up. If you've got a masterclass, workshop, if you're running a quick win campaign, invite them to something if you want to. That's exercise number 2. I'm curious to know who's going to do that one. So that's probably the one that's the most scary and where your mind's freaking out. So you're probably going to have to jump up and down and elicit some courage. Exercise number 3 is a different one. We haven't done this yet, but I actually want to do a full call of one of these on this topic. But for those who create content consistently, I want you to think about this because it generates really great topics for content. I want you to think about the mistakes and misconceptions your ideal clients run up against. What are the mistakes and misconceptions they have? So mistakes are the actions your ideal clients are making or not making that's keeping them stuck. So their behaviors that are keeping them stuck. And or misconceptions. Misconceptions is of the mind. So what are they mistakenly thinking or not thinking that are keeping them stuck? And bonus, if you can highlight the mistakes and the misconceptions that they don't even know they're making. Mistakes and misconceptions, they may be adopting that they think are helping, but they're actually not. An example in my industry is that people just think, oh, cool, I will build a program and I'll build something and then I'll go sell it. They think they're doing the right thing. Whereas what they realize and what I educate them on is, hey, you got it around backwards. because you could be spending weeks or months building something and then go to sell and realize no one wants it. Right? The messaging might be off, the offer might be off, the delivery might be off. You actually have to sell it and then build it to save all that time. Right? You craft a message, you put the message out there and you see if people are interested. And if they are interested, then you build something for them around that message. Saves you a bunch of time. But you can see how people would think that's how to do it, but they don't know they're making that mistake. In your industry, for your ideal clients and your community members, what are the mistakes they're making that they don't know they're making? What are the misconceptions of the mind that they have? They don't even know are the wrong thing. That creates really great content. Can you see why? You're shifting the way they think. It's like a paradigm change for them. And that places you as the key expert, as the authority figure, educating them on something they didn't even know. Another way of thinking about this is there are things that your audience already knows. They already know they need to eat well, sleep well, tell their partner they love them, spend quality time with them, do their outreach in business, whatever. There's things that people already know, right? There's things that they know they don't know. Like, I don't know how to send an email sequence. Like, I don't know how to shop on a budget. I don't know how to whatever. So they know they don't know it, correct? But there are also some things they don't even know they don't know. That's really good place of content. Like if I told you, did you know there's actually an app you can download on Facebook where it'll run everything for you. It's an AI version of you that runs Zoom calls, does all this. Did you actually know that? I made it up, so hopefully you don't know that. But if I was to say something like that, you would be like, whoa, he's like completely teaching me something about something I didn't even know about. Right? Maybe this is even one of them. So the mistakes and misconceptions that I'm telling you about right now, maybe you didn't even know about that. You didn't even know that was a source of content, right? I'm teaching you about some things that you didn't even know you didn't know. You can educate your people as well through content. Exercise number 4 is around offers. So just brainstorm. What do they really want? What's stopping them from getting there? And what can you put together in terms of resources? Can you run a call one-on-one, give them one-on-one experience? Could you run an event, workshop challenge, a campaign, quick win campaign? Could you build some resources, PDFs, podcast, a checklist, something, build a community? And just brainstorm. What are some offers? What are some resources you can put together to solve the challenges that your ideal clients and community members haven't found solutions to yet? So these are the exercises. 1, around your messaging, brainstorming around your messaging. 2, dos, for those practicing their Spanish, building relationships. So actually sending some messages. If you want to practice, send me a message. Shoot me a message on Messenger and say, hey, Tyson, I'm sending you a message to warm up. Right? You can do that as well. 3, around content. So content creation. So mistakes and misconceptions, writing down and brainstorming. 4, finding out what you can put together as an offer. What resources can you put together that are no-brainers for your audience that you hypothesize will help them go from A to B? I want you to choose one, and I want you to do that right now for the remaining 7 minutes we have here. So you're doing some work. And while you're doing that, I'll open up for some questions, queries, comments. But I want to make sure.
Tyson, can you just put number 1 back up for a second?
There you go.
Thank you.
I probably should have created a bigger slide with all 4 at the same time. Next time probably could have done that, but hey, this is what we do. We learn and we we make the pivots when necessary.
That's okay. I was tossing up between two.
So let's do some work. Let's get some tangible takeaways. So brainstorm, do some work. I'm here for questions, queries, comments. If you need some help, if you wanted to bring up a message for me that you're thinking of running, we can talk about it. But this is where rubber meets the road. Anyone have any questions? Questions, queries, comments? Tracy.
I tend to find myself in a loop of like what to do first. So if you look at, if I go to do the outreach, then I'm like, oh, but what have I got to offer? So then I start working on something to offer, and then I'm like, like I kind of find myself in these loops of I need this first, and then I start working on that, and then I need this before I need this, and
Yeah. So then what? So
doesn't
then
matter
what do
how,
you do?
seem to matter, huh?
So then what do you do?
Well, then I waste time doing some things and nothing well and
Yep.
not completing anything.
Yep.
Definitely don't get to the outreach, that's for sure.
Well, what do you think
I
you're
do
gonna
a
do
lot
right
of
now?
content
Here's
because
the
then I'm
thing.
going, oh, but what about my offer? Like, what do I have to offer
Well,
them?
here's the thing. Wouldn't you have more ideas about an offer if you have more conversations
Mm,
going?
true.
That's what I was saying last time, um, 2 weeks ago. I said your outreach. There's a lot of business challenges, and a lot of them can be solved with simply more outreach. Everyone's like, I don't know what to offer. Okay, how many conversations have you had in the last few weeks where you're talking about what you can put together for people? People are like, oh, none. I'm like, well, there you go. Right. If you talk to people, if you have, if you send 10 personal messages a day to people in your network
Hmm.
and you're asking about things, what they're struggling with, you're asking about what, what outcomes they would like to achieve, what they've tried so far that hasn't worked,
Hmm.
you're going to get some ideas. You're going to get some feedback as to what would be most exciting for them. Right. Um, and then you get to put something together knowing, hey, I've got 15, 20 people already asking me for this thing or giving me this feedback, or they've said yes, or I've run the idea by them and they said, yeah, they're definitely interested. Like, you know, they guide you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Go for it. Tracy, send me a personal message right now saying, hey, this is my warm up. And then start sending some invites to other people or some conversations. Denise says she's working exercise 4. Cool. Any other questions, queries, comments? We're good. I want you to get the feeling you're working on what matters most. You're not delaying, you're not delaying what you know you should be doing. I want you to jump in and do something that feels uncomfortable. Often your outreach feels uncomfortable. Often choosing a message feels uncomfortable. Often putting out an offer or choosing an offer and putting it out there feels uncomfortable. But when you do that consistently, it becomes more manageable, right? It becomes more manageable because you have this uh, resilience that I can do challenging things. My mind can freak out. I do it anyway. Doing my outreach and my mind's freaking out. What are they going to think? What are they going to say? Do I seem spammy? Are they going to tell my mum? Like Renee's saying, fear of rejection, right? Fear of rejection is a big one. Fear of judgment is a big one. It's a lot of fears. But wouldn't it make sense if you're going to be the version of you to run a successful business? Wouldn't it make sense you need to overcome the fear of judgment, overcome the fear of rejection, right? Wouldn't it make sense you would have a positive association with building relationships with people? I genuinely enjoy it. I reach out to people and I say, "What's up?" And they tell me what's up. And I say, "Cool. What are you working on?" And I can either connect them with people, I can guide them to the serving circle where they can promote themselves. I'll guide them to a free resource in terms of a course or a video or my ebook or something. We might get on a 10-minute brainstorm to work on their messaging. Like, that's fun for me. That's my outreach. That's building relationships. Once again, energy of random acts of kindness. How can you over deliver for these 3, 5, 8 people that are going to respond to your personal message? How can you over deliver for them? I got Tracy's message. She's doing some work. Round of applause, Tracy, everyone. And kudos to all of you. Pat on the back for everyone. Pat on the back. You're doing what matters most. We're doing this every week, same day and time. These things compound, right? These things compound. Let me stop my screen share somehow. All right, come to the end, everyone. Once again, same day and time next week. I've got more special guests coming up. I've got Jenny Erickson, who's going to be running one of these, which is going to be really, really cool. She's got a very unique approach to some of the messaging, marketing, business stuff. Very, very cool, very exciting. If you have any questions at all, let me know. If you want to learn more about the resources within the Serving Circle, let me know. But I'm here for you, willing to deliver on what matters most, help you move forward in some way. That's what I have for you. Any last questions before we wrap up? We're good.
I do.
Adele.
This just started today, and I'm as we're as I'm listening to you, I'm like, oh, is this kind of tacky? Because people are always asking me, can I join this or can I support this? And then I'm like, well, why can't I just flip it on them and say, I would love your support in sending my poster out? Is that tacky on their text?
Could be. How about send me a message? I've got some ideas for you on how to do this, but you really want to create no-brainers and you want to create value for the people that are sending things for you and also people receiving it. Right? There's ways in which you can do that. I'll send you a message and we'll brainstorm some things, all right?
Okay.
Cool. Thank you all.
Okay.
See you same day and time next week. Blessings for you all. See you in the same.
Thanks, Tyson.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.